So we are Control Create, Control Alt Create, and I'm Amy. I'm a junior, and I hope to get a BFA in graphic design.
And I'm Luchan. I'm just a postbac student who's taking more art classes. And we're part of Leasing's Graphic Design 3 class, where we're doing a service learning project to serve a community of our choice by using the human-centered design process. So each team came up with a problem and worked towards a variety of solutions. And by the end of this project, we're aiming to have a prototype of the solution, a book documenting all processes, and a short video.
So basically in this PowerPoint, we're going to try to walk you through quickly all the steps we've taken from the beginning. So we came up with this challenge because we were both kind of interested in various issues, and we kind of disagreed. Like, I kind of wanted to go toward environmental issues, and she thought about health problems, and then we ended up talking about mental health issues.
And we looked at nonprofit organizations first, and we were drawn to the Oak Tree community. But in the end, we ended up choosing UCA Counseling Center as a primary group associated with this project due to ease of access, proximity, and relevance to local student population.
So the problem we came up with, how might we educate the public about mental health problems in Arkansas? And we started our research here.
So after we picked our problem, we have to kind of think about why we're doing this. So what did the group observe in the environment that led them to covering this topic? I feel like we already sort of knew that there was a problem because we know people with mental health issues, and we do encounter the more popular stigmas purported by the media on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And we decided to do a little digging regarding the statistics and common misconceptions around the subject, and yeah, there are a lot of them. And why does the public have a stigma? This is a very tough question because stigma has always been around, and more often than not, those suffering from mental illness ended up as victims of mistreatment, isolation, or violence, and ignorance is a big source of stigma. The other obvious one is misinformation by the media. Violent news involving mentally ill shows up on the news, and we see every day, but because they turned out violent, not because all mentally ill individuals are violent. So there's a correlation does not imply causation. So people need to understand that.
We started out doing various types of research. We did popular media research where we saw what news is going on in the area. We did a database search where we find facts and statistics about these things. We did a public survey and expert interviews, each of which we'll get into later. So I think first we're talking about these interviews we did.
The first person I interviewed was the director of the UCA Counseling Center, Susan Sobel. And she's been in the field for about 20 years, and she indicated that working with students who are still growing mentally and physically tends to give higher success rate with counseling than you would with community mental health. And the top 3 issues that she saw the most in college counseling centers are anxiety issues, depression, and relationship issues. She believes that mental health issues have become more acceptable and less stigmatized, but it's still an issue. And the common stigma such as, it's all in your head, you just need to get over it, and that you go to counseling, you must be crazy, or you hear voices in your head, those are all still around. And she indicated that do not generalize the mentally ill as violent or dangerous, because the vast majority of people with a mental illness, even with a very serious one, are usually harmless.
The next person we interviewed was Alan Thomas. I really enjoyed talking to him. He's been working at UCA for about 9 years, and he's finishing up his postdoc right now. He believes that the stigma is still present, and even that some counselors have it. Like, it's, in a way, unavoidable, but he believes that it's still alive because of the media, and that people often misunderstand terms like bipolar, schizophrenia.
We also interviewed another one of the counselor at Student Counseling Center, Jason Ribbon. And when asked about the presence of stigma in society, he basically replied, hell yes, it still exists. He does think the society is more accepting of it, but he's not sure that if it can ever be eradicated. He pointed out an issue with miscommunication between those who are suffering from mental health issues and those who are not. And then lastly,
we interviewed Tina as well, just to get a bit more perspective on the issues. And a quote from her that really stood out to me was she said, "Counseling isn't necessarily for crazy people. Counseling is for people who lost their grandmother, Counseling is for that person who is struggling through a relationship, or counseling is for that person who doesn't know what they want to do for their career even.
And she believes the best solution is education and communication. Basic word of mouth can make a big difference in the community. So we did I made a relationship map of mental health stigma, and I tried to make sense of how mental health stigma is influenced by other factors in society. And we'll go into more details as I zoom in. So here are 7 general factors that plays into mental health stigma, both positively, which is the pink arrow, negatively, or neutrally. And the arrow indicates which way it goes. White is neutral, pink is positively, and negatively is the dark blue. And they work both ways. And each of the 7 factors can be further broken down to elements, some of which are specifically tied to our project. For example, the government. If you think the government doesn't play a role into why stigma is still around, you'd be wrong. They're split into federal government and the state government, and each one is further split. I'll talk a little bit about that later. And as for the public and society, there are expectations on how people should act, and their awareness of about mental health. And each of those contains even more elements. I'm not going to go into detail on all of these, but just for example, the social media and entertainment, you have various sources where the mental health stigma can be propagated. And
so it's definitely a very complex issue. There was another infographic we started to make and organizing some of our research, and these are some findings from an infographic I made. Just clipped to fit this PowerPoint kind of, so it's a bit awkward. One thing was that almost 20% of Arkansas adults have some form of mental illness, which is quite a lot. So there's definitely a need for better awareness, better education for prevention. And then our survey results, we found that 1 in 4 UCA students surveyed knows somebody affected by mental illness. So I think that our research is definitely valid and important, and that it needs to be talked about more. More statistics about Arkansas specifically and how behind we are as a state when it comes to mental health. There are only 5.2 psychiatrists per 100,000 Arkansas residents, for example. And the statistics tended to show that states with better resources for mental illness had less mental illness, so it's important that Arkansas tries to get ahead with that too.
And these are some challenges we encountered after we began researching. So we came up with how might we discourage generalization due to mental illness in our community? How might we decrease the stigma associated with mental illness in our community? And how might we address the lack of resources for people with mental health problems in our community?
We brainstormed lots of solutions about these things with our classmates and among ourselves too. And some solutions we came up with, we had everything from silly solutions to crazy solutions. Like silly solutions, what if there were censorship laws that prohibited portraying mental illness like it is in the media? Or what if we just slap them if they make assumptions? We really like that one, kind of, but not practical.
No, it's not.
So some of our final solutions involved maybe we make distinctions through advertisements. We could promote better terminology of mental health and illness so people know what schizophrenia really is and what it isn't.
And for the future plans and prototype, we decided that we can come up with posters, apps, brochures, kind of like cards, info cards. And as for the book outline, we kind of figured it out, but it's still very rough. We decided that we probably will have a prologue talking about the team, talking about why we're doing this, what the project's about, 2 to 6 chapters covering the various forms of research that we did, summarize the data analysis, and then also talk a little bit about the apps and the processes. As for the video, I think we might do a video that helps advertise UCA Counseling Center.
And I talk about different services they offer so students know it's available, because I feel like a lot of students don't utilize it. It's free, you get 10 appointments a semester. I think it's a really great thing to have. So of course we've already begun our app, and in beginning that we did a bunch more research. So we did.
Oh, sorry. So for related app search, we had a hard time finding good and popular applications regarding to mental health because there aren't that many out there, and most of them are passive tools for recording your mood or writing out your feelings. Others delve into tracking your sleep or other activities, many of which does not have a good rating or a large user base that I can really research into. And
We created user personas, which we'll get to, and we did user interface research, and we conducted a survey which revealed that not many people use mental health apps, but there was an interest in it. So hopefully we can fill that interest with our app. We began with our user surveys here, or our user personas here, kind of imagining what kind of people would use our app. So this lady, she might use the app to find help for a child that seems troubled.
And this kid might be neglected by her parents or just, I guess, bullied in school. And if she doesn't really want to talk to a counselor at school, maybe there's a more indirect way for her to get the help that she needs, maybe through an app. Kids nowadays have phones. And this guy, maybe he works in a kind of dangerous environment that influences his mental health, and it's an occupation hazard. And if he brings it up during work, he gets into trouble. So he needs maybe some other type of help that he can get on his own.
Maybe this guy, he's depressed and he decides it's finally time to find help, but he lives in the middle of nowhere and he's not sure where to get it, so this app could help guide him there.
And this guy may be very anxious or paranoia, so he figures if he reach out, people might track him down and, do something horrible to him. He just wants the anonymity that can be provided through an app or, internet searches, something like that.
So moving on, we had to pin 100 user interface designs that appealed to us. And so we started doing that, finding out what we like, what other apps seem to be doing. And we narrowed that down to 4 different designs. We were finding that we kind of like the minimalism of some apps, like the middle one definitely influences our app a lot. We like black, white, and maybe one key color. So we began doing some low fidelity wireframing, very rough, just placing things where they would go, hypothetically, in our app. And that quickly turned into a mess of screens tangled everywhere. We got to high fidelity wireframing eventually, which got even more complex before we finally got to our final app, which is pretty well developed. We did it with Flinto like everyone else.
And I think we can just exit out of this and,
You want to click through it?
open URL. And we'll talk a little bit more about what we decided. You can start with.
Okay, so on the home page, one of the recommendations we received was that we add like different hotlines in case they really need help right at this moment. So we decided to put it right up there in red, and it appears on a few different pages too. There might be a random fact here, or maybe an inspirational quote when you first log on. It'll change every time. And the 4 main functions of our app we decided to include were you can find help in your area, you can socialize anonymously with other people about these issues, you can get out, which I think is important because sometimes getting out and being active can help with your mental health, and you can also get facts about these different issues. So, what should we talk about?
I guess you can talk about helping out.
Yeah. So getting help, you can see different therapists, different group sessions, different facilities you could go to. And it's just automatically going to show you what's near you, but then you can filter. Say you want therapy, you might want a child specialist, and you can decide how close you want it to you. And then you can filter your results and get results relevant to that.
You get collected there.
Oh yeah. So you click on the therapist and you get some basic information, phone number, email, and there would be a map that would link you to your preferred Maps app to guide you there.
And as for Get Social, we figured that we incorporate a chat room into it. So you click in and see all the different kinds of mental health issues that you can click on. And then there'll be a user agreement. the users should read through these and see if they agree or disagree. And if they don't, if they disagree and they click continue, it sends them right back to the home page. But if they do agree, then they can proceed through into the chat room where they can, type in the username or generate one just randomly, and then click continue. Go into the chat room. It's pretty much like an iPhone chat format, which is easy to see who's talking and what did I say earlier. And if somebody says something offensive, you can click their name, and then the 3 dots on the top right-hand corner will pop up. It gives you the option of either blocking the person or reporting the person. And if you decide to report them, if multiple people report them, then they can get banned from the chat room, and everything they said would just go away, and they'll leave you alone. And to just get out of the chat room, you just click back.
And the get out function, it functions a lot like the get help. It basically filters a bunch of things near you that you might be interested in by your location, and then you can search those. You can search, maybe you want to do an outdoor activity, or maybe you want to go to a museum. And you can search by location, you can search by popularity too, and then you can just click and get a map to guide you there.
And the get facts is really similar to the get social part, but if you click into the mental health, it takes you to a screen where you can read more on either the causes, symptoms, treatments, facts, and stats. And once you get in, you can have a swipe screen where you can swipe left or swipe right, and it just takes you through the common causes. And if you want more information, you just click more information. It takes you to reputable sites that will provide you with credible information. Same thing with symptoms and such. You just keep going. Treatments, facts and stats. And we also have a hamburger menu where you can take it back to the home screen or any of the other ones. And that's the presentation.